I kept on just thinking he didn't do it, but I kept on just thinking every time he fell off a building or got hit or hit by a car, just oh, like just that pause. John Wick 4. Oh, just like
Yeah.
all right. So
Hey, John Wick Chapter 4.
it's the
Uh,
wickening, the wickiest, the wick harder. It's
Wick
go
Hard.
away. Electric Wickaloo. What do you want? Like, what do we do? Um,
Oh my God. The John Wick, the little franchise that could. It really it's
yeah, right.
kind of started off as like a movie that nobody saw coming, and now is one of like the biggest action franchises currently out there.
I mean, shit, it earned it. So
Oh yeah, no, like, and every movie just kind of seems like, we're just gonna try shit and just see what works.
I
Uh,
mean, it's clearly like it's the same thing as like in a sense it's the same thing as how I felt about Mad God. It's just a movie that was a pet project of a special effects guy for like 20, 30 years. So the whole movie is just weird shit, but it's visually fantastic and it's just very interesting and weird and compelling. And this is that, but with, action.
yeah,
So you have an action choreographer that just like has his own little passion project and people fucking love it. Who knows? People would fall in love with a pure action movie that had wacky ideas. Like,
yeah.
why not?
And it still feels
So,
like it's trying out wacky ideas pretty regularly
yeah.
in this movie. And it's been out for a couple weeks.
Weren't there were moments in this movie where I just started like laughing. Like
Just
just
absurd.
not even out of just making fun of it or not taking it seriously, but like almost out of sheer joy, just like,
Yep.
oh my god, whatever, fine. Like shit, let's do this.
And like, to be fair, this has never been a franchise that's demanded to be taken ultra seriously.
I
Uh,
mean, the first movie I think kind of had more of that.
in a way.
First movie was kind of more of a serious movie, all the
Mm,
way down to like the showdown on the docks.
yes.
But as soon as John Wick 2 started,
Yeah.
as soon as it started, the opening scene with Peter Stormare
Yeah.
was immediately funny
Yep.
and had a sense of humor and just took the whole thing of like I appreciate the fact that they're building lore and stuff, but I also appreciate the fact that these movies are just like, oh yeah, and the main guy from the first, he had a brother, and he's got a garage that also has cars, and we're gonna have it in there, and it's just gonna be, more action scene opening, and it just how it went from the first movie, which was it had the whole lore building thing where people are like, it's John Wick, and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
but also it wasn't really that funny. You had the shithead son, but it
Yeah.
was kind of a serious mafia like tragedy thing. But
Yeah.
then the second movie, you start off with Peter Stormare, like this huge action sequence happening, and cuts back to Peter Stormare just listening to the far off echoes of gunshots. Just, just, and from there, just got silly. And
Yep.
third one got weirder and more off like completely insane. And
This one
this
is
one kind of
also
toned it down a little bit, I think.
a little bit.
Still
Yeah.
did some crazy shit, but it wasn't as like off the wall as the third one, I think.
It doesn't have any scenes that can really top the whole, hey, we just happen to wander into like a gun and weapon museum
That was pretty funny.
in three.
Oh
It does have, hey, what we haven't seen in a long time? Nunchucks. Nunchucks are cool. We should
yeah, let's just have a nunchuck and like
just beat the fuck out of people with nunchucks.
literally a scene where there are moments where it's like, all right, next wave of enemies spawn, go. Like you're just sitting there watching it beat the fuck out of people, and that's it. There's nothing more complex to it than that for little moments in the movie, and that's decent.
There's
I
an
kind of
entire
prefer the
scene.
ones where there's like a set amount of enemies and then he goes on a chase and like all that kind of shit. Like I prefer those setups, but
That being said, that Miami Vice sequence was like top down over the
Hotline Miami,
Hotline Miami. Sorry, yeah.
Miami Vice,
I don't know.
Colin Farrell. And wasn't the remake with Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx?
I honestly don't know.
Right.
You know what I was
Let me
trying to
check
get.
now just to make sure I'm not being racist. I know that Michael Mann directed it. Miami Vice. Yep, Michael Mann, Colin Farrell, and Jamie Foxx. I was right. I'm not racist. I have a good memory.
Okay,
Good
but
for me. Now streaming on HBO Max.
and
If you want
Tubi
to
apparently,
check it out.
or the original, I guess, is
Wow,
paying.
hell, people rate this 5 stars. What the fuck? Do I need to watch this? I'm
Anyway,
confused.
Hotline Miami is what I was trying to go with there.
Yes, Hotline Miami. Excellent. Yeah, to me that's the star sequence of the whole movie. That was the sequence of the movie because that's something where it is really intense, really tightly coordinated, like really kinetic action
Yep.
in a long take. Long takes always blow my mind, and when they're that fucked up and crazy and like in your face, just insane,
Yeah.
insane. Just God, I love that sequence. That's my favorite part of the movie, like bar none, easy.
But one thing I kind of appreciate about the series in general is that the world that it takes place in is so fucking vague and so confusing
Mhm.
how the rules work that they could just kind of just do whatever they want and just go, the council people say this is
The
how it works
table,
now.
this it's the table did they sent this person and they have this other system in place that you don't know about because they didn't have time to talk about. No, we just made it up, but still, it fits. Kind of, it's fine.
It kind of feels like teenage little boys making up a game. like
Oh, absolutely. No, it's just dudes going like, okay, well, what can we do? What if he had a secret like student that came back for revenge? Like that doesn't happen in this movie, but it's got that vibe.
yeah. Like what if he's
But yeah, this
blind but
is
he's so cool, but yeah.
this is just um it's a worthy successor. It's a fun movie. It does the action. I think it kind of dragged a little bit at certain moments.
It is a 3 hour movie. Uh,
Yes, it didn't need to be 3 hours, I think.
yeah.
I do think that it there were problems I had with this one that I didn't have with the other ones,
Mm,
where I feel like it was trying to bring back some of the like character building and gravitas from the first one
mm.
because the tone of it was a little less jokey than the previous two. Like it
Yeah,
was a
I
little
can see
less
that.
fun necessarily, but also at the same time tried to have really long action sequences where instead of being carefully plotted out, there are a couple of them where it's just John Wick essentially in an arena taking down waves of enemies,
Yeah.
which is neat, but there's definitely an element of it that doesn't feel as dynamic as the rest of the action sequences.
Yeah,
Um, and I just feel like it either it needed a little more variety on the way
mhm.
or it needed to be a little shorter. I feel like the movie really picked up in the last hour when it heads up to like the third act
Yeah.
after they agree on what that final showdown is going to be and like the lead up in the night before. Basically, as soon as they adjourn
Mm.
and like head off to that final night,
Yeah.
that's when the movie picks up and does not let down.
Yeah,
Because I was surprised when it got to that point. I was like, "Wait, is that it? Is that all we've got?" Because we've only gotten like 3 big action sequences up to this point.
yeah, only
Felt
one
like we
bomb.
should have had more.
Yeah. Uh yeah,
But
no,
yeah, once it gets there, it gets there.
yeah. And like it still pays off, but it's definitely a case of like and it is hard because this is the fourth like entry in this point. It's kind of hard to
Yeah,
get creative action sequences in there after a certain point. So you do have to get creative. So I don't really hold it
yeah,
against me that there are some ones like I do kind of feel like arena boss fights. Uh
yeah. I feel like this is a franchise that avoided that pitfall up to
yeah,
this point, and it was kind of like it was a little disappointing to see it fall into that. Now, here's the thing though. It's even though it has things that are disappointing for a John Wick movie, it's still head and shoulders above every other fucking action movie. So it's not like, oh, this movie isn't good. Like it's still fucking excellent.
yeah.
It's not boring. It's just one of those things where it's like, I got a little antsy during some of the things. I was like, all right, I want to see what the next room looks like.
Yeah, like that whole poker scene went dragged on a little too long.
I
Uh,
wasn't even bothered by that one necessarily. Oh, actually, no, that dude was chewing the scenery a little too much.
yeah.
Um,
Granted,
I
like the
wasn't too
action fight
compelled by that character or that sequence really. Um, it was like a gutter variety kingpin, you know, like
yeah.
just
Like I said, he was the mini boss. He was like the boss fight they kind of throw in to pad out the runtime, you know?
yeah. I
Which like
just how many times are you gonna fucking throw someone off of a ledge or hit them with a like John Wick? Just
should
the
not.
number of things, the things that happen to him and he doesn't die are just kind of hilarious.
Yeah, after a certain point, it's just like Jesus Christ.
No, exactly, and that's why like seriously, every time you see John Wick go through something physically that he should be dead from, like falling 30 feet straight down onto concrete and then just kind of get up, just do the pause and then just go, oh, just like it's beautiful. You have multiple opportunities. It's very entertaining.
I
I
really
highly
like the
recommend it.
stairs sequence, which is another one where just like
Yeah, how many times? Like, I
Christ.
feel like people fell down the stairs in the exact same way like 3 times in this movie.
Yep,
It
he's
was weird.
back up. Yep.
That's the thing. Like, this series is famous for its variety. You
Mm,
know, you have gunfights on horseback and motorcycles, and like in these interesting rooms with different things to be thrown through, and you know, I just felt like there was little thing. God, I mean, I can't help but think of the raid. I really wish they would have like. I wish they would have just stolen a couple things from the raid or the raid 2.
yeah.
The raid 2 is still one of my favorite fucking movies ever. I
Mm,
think it easily stands with any of the John Wick movies.
yeah, that's fair.
Um, have you seen the second one?
I've seen the first one.
Oh, you need to come over and watch the second one.
Deal.
It's so good. It's so good. Um, but there's a fight sequence that's like in a kitchen, like a professional restaurant kitchen at one point. So you're just surrounded by all kinds of things that can hurt the fuck out of you. And it's one of the final showdowns between like one of the main bad guys and the main character. And they do that thing where they're just like, all right, we're just gonna get like really close to each other and then start fighting. And by the end of that fight, they're basically just both half dead. And watching the progression of that with all the different things around them was such an incredibly dynamic, delightful thing to watch. And
Yeah.
I feel like the other John Wick movies had things that were more like that. And this one, like you said, there's a scene where it's just like, aren't nunchucks cool? Let's just watch him fuck people up with nunchucks for 5 minutes straight.
Yeah.
You know, it's entertaining, but I guess I'm spoiled now and I just have slightly higher expectations for John Wick as a franchise.
That's fair. Like I think I could
What
of
I'm saying is this is like only a 4.5 out of 5,
yeah,
not a full 5 out of 5 for me. Like
pretty
I
much.
have to draw the line,
Oh, of
you
course.
know, like John Wick 4 like, lost a whole half star on its way down because it's a little slower in certain moments of the movie. It's not perfect. How dare they?
And you can definitely tell it's kind of and again, this is not negative necessarily, but you can tell that they're running off like tiers of like, okay, we can't make up another bullshit position about how much higher this person is than the last person. So at this point you can tell it's trying to set up some spin-offs. Like I know they got the prequel series, it's gonna be an Apple TV, I think.
Really?
Uh yeah, it's about the hotel, I forget what it's called. Mm.
Uh,
Uh and there's rumors that Donnie Yen's gonna get his own spin-off.
oh,
Uh
that would be cool. Donnie Yen is fucking awesome.
oh yeah, I
So
love Donnie Yen.
no, just watching him as Donnie Yen is an absolute fucking delight in this movie.
Oh,
He
he's
is a
having a great fucking time.
great character, but I also love how they incorporate the fact that he's blind into things.
Yeah.
It is generally an implausible like
Of course.
character to have,
Yeah.
but at the same time, the way they play with it, it's not there to be realistic. This is
Yeah.
John Wick. John Wick fell like 5 stories and bounced off of a couple of metal fucking awnings at the end of John Wick 3. Like, and he survived. He's fine, right? So this is not a franchise for realism. They brought Donnie Yen in as a blind character to be like, how could he creatively know where things are?
Yep.
And the way that he does that in fights is really interesting. It's a fascinating element that they introduce into the sequences with him. And he
Yeah.
holds his own.
Yeah, he does. It's Donnie Yen. Like, he doesn't disappoint. Um, and like if I can buy Daredevil as a character, I can buy Donnie Yen in this. It's basically a superhero movie.
Yeah, right.
So like those are kind of shit like, you know what? Can I nitpick this? Sure. Does it ruin the fun if I do? Kind of. So why do it? You know?
That's the thing. Like, what's the fun in nitpicking something like John Wick? Like,
Like, oh, no one
well,
can
that's not realistic.
survive
No, it's
without
not, but
that.
it's fucking cool. Like,
And all with the central message of don't fuck with other people's dogs or just dogs in general.
yeah,
Which
I did like how they did that with Halle Berry in the third one. I do wish that they brought back characters from the previous movies more.
yeah, it would have been nice to actually Halle Berry back in this one. I
Yeah,
really liked her in the last movie.
like she didn't die.
Yeah,
Why not?
John Wick and his amazing friends make that movie.
Yeah, right. Wick and Company. um, Johnny and the Wicks. But yeah, I really it's a good time.
Yeah,
It's a good time. You're not gonna regret watching it. It's a little long, but it is a worthy John Wick 4.
yeah, we
So
saw this in the big IMAX.
yeah, that was worth it.
It was definitely worth it, even though I didn't get to bed like 1:30 and then I had to wake up at 7.
Yeah, some movies you just got to do that for. It
Yeah.
really is just God. It is this thing where I'm like, it is an hour drive for us to get to the big IMAX, but some movies that are specifically a spectacle are just worth it.
Oh yeah, like I still remember seeing Godzilla versus Kong on that.
Oh God, it was so good.
It was amazing, and I like
It
I
was
don't
so
regret that
good.
for a second. I will fight anybody that says like it's not a very good movie. Shut the fuck up.
I saw King of Monsters on there too.
Fuck yeah. That's another movie.
Trying to convince you to come, and you were like, I don't want to do the drive.
I was tired. Doing
I
my
know, I know. I'm just saying now you understand.
I
Like,
get it. I get it. That's why I want to go for Colin though, because I was like, okay, I missed King of Monsters, and I gotta do this one.
yeah, exactly. I've
Um,
indoctrinated you into understanding the value of the big IMAX and why it's worth a 2 hour round trip.
that being said, I still think people who take King of Monsters as bad are just wrong.
They're looking for the wrong things.
Yeah.
They're trying to look. Vera Farmiga literally makes her fucking like supervillain arc speech live on a big monitor and apparently just has B-roll prepared for the points that she's going to make. Like she's been planning this talk and she has her laptop hooked up to the projector just to like give a demonstration. Like she's talking about the damage that humans have done to the world and up pops like video footage of factories and shit. I'm like, what are you you're talking into a random little fucking monitor in a control center. Have you been did you go onto like did you look up royalty free samples before you fucking had this talk? Were you anticipating it this much? Were you just carrying them around with you on a USB drive? Like what the fuck are you doing? But it's shit like that. Like it's a silly movie.
It is
Just
very silly,
enjoy
though.
it.
But it's also one where it's like people don't understand the main characters are the monsters. Who gives a fuck about the people?
Well, that's the point. Yeah.
Yeah,
With
that is
that
the
one,
point.
definitely more than anything.
So many people miss that though, and it still annoys me.
Well, I think it's because with the reboot one that they did that led to it, they tried to make it more about the people.
To its detriment.
Yeah. Well,
But anyway, okay.
but now, in any case, John Wick 4, much
Yeah,
the
John
same
Wick 4.
situation. So, like,
Yeah.
it's easier for people to enjoy shooty because America. To remind them why guns are cool instead of the horrific things that are happening on a regular basis. America is healing. We're having shootings regularly again. Wonderful. And
That's a dark fucking sentence.
oh god, I am so doom pilled right now, dude. Like just like that's the thing. COVID happened, everyone stayed inside. Shootings went down for a while. Now we're getting them like 2 in less than a week. It's like, oh yeah. The before times were like this. Like, I forgot about this part of normal life in America. And yeah, I think like, John Wick 4, while fantastically entertaining. John Wick in general, our fetishization of action and guns and murder isn't no small part our desensitization to, this kind of violence. And definitely partially responsible for us going like, but wait, guns are cool. I want guns. I want to have guns. I like having guns. Like, how about not? So less people just die when people who have a bunch of guns go crazy. And yeah, but that's a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
To be fair, I completely agree with you.
this is how, for better or for worse, we have these things, and they're a lot of fun, and I enjoy them very much. So if I'm gonna go watch see in the news like another fucking terrible thing about this stuff, why not enjoy a little bit of John Wick on the side to be like, oh yeah, it's cool when it's like choreographed and
So on
fake.
that note, we got to talk Super Mario later this week.
What do you mean on that note?
For like just we're talking about polar opposites from John Wick.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, it's all good. I don't really feel I needed to have a spoiler discussion on this. This is
No,
pretty
I don't think so
straightforward.
either.
It's John Wick. He shoots stuff. It's fun. If you like the other ones, you're probably gonna like this one. Maybe not as much as the other ones, but you're still gonna like it. And there are sequences in this movie which fucking dropped my jaw. Like honestly, that overhead sequence is one of my favorite sequences in the whole series.
Yeah, it's
Easily, it is so cool.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's like if this is your shit, it's more of that shit. If you don't
Mhm.
like this shit, you're not gonna like this shit.
So don't give a shit. Don't see it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
most people have already moved on by now. So
Yeah. All
uh
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Bye.
So Human Centipede.
God damn it.